Hi, folks. Today we're going to talk about a very interesting topic, and that is what is the number one sign that a narcissist and a romance scammer have in common? With all the dating apps and social media platforms available at our fingertips, we need to be aware of the harmful people out there that can pose a threat to our emotional health, personal safety, and finances. As many of you may or may not be aware of, certain people intentionally going out of the way to cause the most distress and emotional pain to others. And these people are highly skilled in manipulation and targeting victims who tend to be lonely, empathetic, kind hearted, and naive. Let me say this again. And these people are highly skilled in manipulation and targeting victims who tend to be lonely, empathetic, kind hearted, and naive. Folks, you've heard of the phrase, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. I've read so many sad, alarming stories of victims who have been scammed by a romance scammer, and it made me think about how the narcissists have similar profiles as the romance scammers. While their manipulative techniques parallel to a great degree, their end goals are very different. While the romance scammer's goal is to extract money from their victims, the narcissist's goal is to extract narcissistic supply, which is excessive need for attention. Keep in mind, victims of both narcissists and romance scammers are women and men. So it's not just women who get manipulated, but men also. Okay, so let me just stop right here. Um, I thought this was an interesting parallel because what's interesting to me is that as I was reading about these romance scammers, I noticed that they had this one main thing. I mean, they have a lot in common, but the one major sign that I noticed is that there's one main sign, which I'll talk about just in a second, that a narcissist and romance scammer have in common. Um, and and like I said, while their manipulation techniques are similar, okay, the goal of each is different. Okay, the romance scammers, their main objective is to get money from you. Okay, they want to be able to scam you for money, whereas the objective of the narcissist is that they are trying to get more narcissistic supply. And what that term means is it just means excessive attention. Okay, whatever it takes. If it means they have to, um, try to persuade you or get angry, they have many different control techniques to try to get you to try to gain your attention. Okay. So, and the other thing I want to say is that we often tend to think of women being the victims of these kinds of people, and actually, there is a percentage of men out there that also get scammed as well, and there's plenty of men that will also have been the victim of a narcissistic woman. So it's not just women that are victims; men are too. So men, you need to pay attention. Today, we're going to talk about the number one sign that a narcissist and a romance scammer have in common. So, what is the number one sign? Love bombing. I'm sure most of you heard this term. I found a great definition of this term online that I would like to share with all of you. According to the hotline.org website, love bombing is a form of emotional manipulation where someone overwhelms another person with excessive affection, compliments, and attention to gain control over them. This behavior often occurs in the early stages of a relationship and can be a sign of an unhealthy or abusive dynamic. Let me repeat this again. It's very important, folks. Love bombing is a form of emotional manipulation and where someone overwhelms another person with excessive affection, compliments, and attention to gain control over them. This behavior often occurs in the early stages of a relationship and can be a sign of an unhealthy or abusive dynamic. Okay, how many of you have been in that situation? If you think back on the dates you've been on, the new people you've met, right? Usually in the beginning, early stages of a relationship, there's a lot of this going on, okay? And I'm not saying everyone that throws you a compliment is someone that we need to be aware of, okay? We don't need to get hyper paranoid, right? But what I am saying is that we just need to be just aware that if and love bombing is more than that, okay? It's not just throwing a compliment here or there. Love bombing is literally they're just bombing you with like all this sweet talk. As us women would call it sweet talk, right? And so we just got to be careful, and men too, right? If a woman starts to love bomb you and tell you how wonderful you're, and you know, here's the thing, here's the red flag. You don't even know each other, right? If you're on your first date or your first three dates, you guys are basically like strangers. So how could someone tell you that you're all these wonderful things, but they don't even know you, right? And we all know it takes time to get to know somebody, at least 3 months, at least. Okay, I would say up to half a year. It takes time to get to know really who someone really is for all their flaws and imperfections. Okay, we always put our best foot forward in the beginning of a dating relationship, so there's no way to tell what someone's true intentions are or what their true character is. So this takes time. So in the early romance stages, when you're getting love bombed, just keep in mind while it may feel nice, but we don't wanna take it to heart, okay? Because literally the person doesn't know you, and if they are a narcissist or a romance scammer, they're gonna be love bombing you like crazy, okay? They're gonna pull out all the stops and all the sweet talk and how wonderful you are, and they'll even go as far as lie. You know, they just magically match up with you, right? Everything you like, they like, right? You guys have the same goals. You just gotta be careful. In other words, both the narcissist and romance scammers use this form of manipulation to fake emotional intimacy to get you to be emotionally invested quickly. Okay? Let me say this again. Both the narcissist and romance scammers use this form of manipulation, which is love bombing we're talking about, to fake emotionally intimacy to get you to be emotionally invested quickly. Why is this important to note? Folks, we have all heard of many people, including ourselves, that have unfortunately been a victim of a narcissistic abuse. Excuse me. And those of us who have been in a romantic relationship with a narcissist have learned the hard way. We all fell for their love bombing in the early dating stages. And before you know it, we lost control and became a narcissistic supply, only for them to abuse, devalue, and discard at their leisure as they continue to seek more narcissistic supply. So let me say this again. And those of us who have been in a romantic relationship with a narcissist have learned the hard way. We all fell for their love bombing in the early dating stages. And before you know it, we lost control. It became a narcissistic supply, only for them to abuse, to devalue, and discard at their leisure as they continue to seek more narcissistic supply. And as for romance scammers, I've read many stories of their victims who have been manipulated and been robbed hundreds to thousands and even millions of dollars. In both cases, the victims are left with emotional trauma, heartbreak, and financial ruin in the case of the romance scams. Okay, so this is very serious, folks. And for those of you who are lonely and empathetic and kind-hearted, naive, those you specifically who are the people pleasers, also, you need to pay attention. Okay, especially if you're young, or actually, it doesn't matter how old you are, because you could be lonely at any age. Okay, the article talk. I mean, I've read articles where mainly the young, the women in their 20s, or the women that are in their seniors or retired. Okay, it's all age group, folks. Okay, you don't. It's not just the young people that are lonely or the old people that are lonely. Everyone gets lonely. Okay, and this is just I'm just encouraging everyone to be aware that if you are feeling lonely, okay, and you know you're an empathetic person and you're you're kind-hearted and naive, and you're a people pleaser. You specifically need to be careful and be on guard, okay, for these kind of people. Um, and as for romance scammers, I've read many stories of their victims who have been manipulated and been robbed of hundreds to thousands or even millions of dollars. In both instances, the victims are left with emotional trauma, heartbreak, and financial ruin in the case of romance scams. There are other signs of narcissists and romance scammers, but I want to specifically focus on this number one sign of love bombing, because this happens very early on in the dating stages. I've said repeatedly in many of my videos the value of focusing on friendship first in the early dating stages of a relationship. Be patient and take the time to build the friendship first before getting physically intimate. Let me just stop right here. This is very important, folks. If you've seen any of my other previous videos on finding the right partner, the 4 dating stages of relationship, and other videos I've done, it's so important, and I can't stress it enough. Please take the time to get to know somebody well. Uh, having sex is wonderful, okay? Getting physically intimate is a wonderful feeling. But the problem is for most of us, and I'll even say men too. I know because before I used to say just women get attached physically and mentally when they have sex, but it's men too, okay? A lot of us will get emotionally attached right away, very quickly. And so that's why we want to hold off. I'm not saying not to ever have sex, okay? I'm just merely suggesting when you need to postpone it a little bit. Okay, we need to take the proper time to vet the person that we're dating, get to know them well, find out who they really are, find out what their intentions are. We need to basically get past the romance stages, which is the first 3 months of a dating relationship, folks. We need to continue having objectivity of who we're dating. Okay, and then we will get to know them and what their true intentions are. Um, so we need to be patient and take the time to build a friendship first before getting physically intimate. The love bombing will happen within the first few weeks of dating. As the saying goes, if it's too good to be true, then it probably is too good to be true. Okay, I said this earlier, but I'm going to repeat this again. It probably is too be too true. Okay, and you guys know it. Okay, you think you met the perfect person, right? And you tell your family, friends, and your loved ones, "Oh, I met the love of my life. I think this is it. This is it. Right? This is the one." Be careful, okay? Because the narcissists and the romance scammers, they will make you feel like you're the one. They're gonna make you feel like they are the perfect match for you in heaven. Okay. This is where your guard has to be up, and you have to. You can while you can receive the compliments and thank them for their compliments. Okay, don't let it get to your head. All right. Do not let it. Uh, don't let that influence you to feel that you're ready to give all your heart, okay? That you're gonna go all in. Be very careful the first few months of a relationship. Love bombing is intoxicating. We all know that, right? Especially for those of us who've just been through a divorce, or you've been divorced a while, or you've been single for a long time, okay? Those people especially, and widowers or widows and widowers. I can never get those terms correct, but anyway, these are all people that have been lonely, that may have just come out of a relationship, or you've just come out of a relationship and you're feeling very, very lonely. Okay, you've been divorced a while and you're lonely. You just retired and your spouse just died. Okay, you're now a widow or a widower, depending if you're a man or woman, and you're vulnerable. You're emotionally vulnerable because you're lonely. Okay, especially those of you who are hurting and grieving. That's why people say it's better just take the time out to grieve. Don't be in a rush to hurry up and get back into a relationship. You need the proper time. And there is no and people have asked me, "Well, how long does it take? How long does it take to get over a breakup? How long does it take to get over grieving over a loss of a loved one?" Folks, there's not a one size fit all answer. It depends on each person and the relationship. Okay? As I've said, if the relationship was very traumatic and you were a very, very sensitive person, it could take a while. It may take up to a year or maybe even more. I know people that have taken years to get over a previous relationship. Or you may be the kind of person that are is uh was able to grieve, put things in the proper perspective, heal. If you needed healing, you were able to heal from your childhood wounds or whatever issues you've had that needed healing. And people may be able to rebound within several months. Right? And so it all depends. It depends on the person. It depends on the relationship and how traumatic the relationship ended. It's different for everybody. But the key is during those times of grieving and taking time to get over somebody, we don't need to be rushing into another relationship because this is when we're most vulnerable. And this is how we run into people like narcissists and romance scammers because we're feeling very lonely and we feel like we want to be loved. Especially if we come from an abusive relationship, our egos and our self-esteem has gotten very low, right? And that's why you need to heal, especially if you have low self-esteem issues or if you've been in a toxic relationship. You definitely need to go to counseling and heal because if you don't heal your low self-esteem issues, you'll find yourself back in the same destructive patterns of relationships again, and you'll most likely be attracted to someone like a narcissist or a romance scammer who will tell you what you want to hear. Okay, so we need to be careful about that. um, Love bombing is intoxicating. Who doesn't want to be lavish with beautiful compliments, fall in love, be made the center of attention, and be put on a pedestal to be cherished. Because that's what these guys do, folks. I shouldn't just say guys. It's women too. Both women and both men and women narcissists and romance scammers. That's what they do. That's how they target you. That's how they manipulate you. Okay, they know you're lonely. They know you're dying for attention. You're dying for compliments. Okay, and you're dying for what I call sweet talk. Us women know, this is sweet talk, right? Um, Love bombing is when the pace of the relationship is being super rushed and the professing of love and marriage is prematurely declared within a few weeks when you don't even know each other well yet. Think of it as a Romeo and Juliet on steroids. For those of you who are old enough to have read about Shakespeare and all his plays, Romeo and Juliet, right? If you're familiar with Romeo and Juliet, I just use that as an example of two people that are in love. Just think of two people in love on steroids, okay? Um, so just want to say that it's definitely a red flag, a warning flag. You know you're being love bombed when the pace of the relationship is being super rushed. Okay, they're talking marriage the first date. They're talking about future plans already when on the first few dates. They don't even know you. They think they know you, right? They already tell you they love you. They already profess their love for you and their devotion to you and they're committed to you. Folks, these are red flags. While it may feel good, it's definitely an ego boost to many of us, right? They tell you how beautiful you are, how handsome you are, how whatever, fill in the blank, right? They're pushing all the buttons. They're pushing all the buttons that trigger you to feel good, right? Um, but we need to be careful. And especially if they're talking commitment and marriage within the first few dates. It's inappropriate, folks. It's very inappropriate. Okay? For those of you who haven't read up on narcissists and romance scammers, I encourage you to take some time and get educated on these types of people. There's lots of resources out there online, folks. Okay, if you aren't familiar with narcissists or romance scammers, please take the time to read up on these people. They are real and they are out there, and they are like sharks in a water looking for blood. Or in this case, not literally looking for blood, but like I said earlier, um, the narcissists are looking for their narcissistic supply, and the romance scammers are looking for money. Okay. As a reminder, please check out two of my previous videos, Finding the Right Partner and the 4 Stages of Dating Relationship, which I mentioned earlier. Please check those videos out. If you haven't been dating a while and you're just getting back into the dating scene, or if you're young and you've never been on a date before, I highly, highly recommend you go and look at my previous 2 videos, Finding the Right Partner and the 4 Stages of a Dating Relationship. You can find them on my YouTube channel under videos. Okay, so please check it out. And let me see. Also check out my book, Kissing Frogs No More. The secret to finding Prince Charming. And also, it's not gender specific. So for you men out there that are also looking for the right partner, okay, your princess, please check out this book. I will highly recommend this book. It's a short read. You can tell it's not very thick. It's a very thin book. I write short books. I don't like writing long books because I know many of us have a full life and we don't really have the time to read 100, 200 pages. So I prefer short books. So if short books is your thing and you just want to read something that's quick, that will only take you a couple hours or 3 hours to read, check this out. It's a short read. It'll give you valuable information on how to date, what qualities to look for in a partner, and the secret to finding the right partner. Okay, I wrote this book when I was single about 9 years ago. For 9 years while I was single, I had written this book, and being dating online, I learned a lot. Okay, so and nowadays that's the preferred method that people date is people are dating online. So this book will be helpful to you because if you don't, it will help prepare you. It'll give you a good grounding, a solid footing, I would say, on how to date, what to look for. Okay, it'll also help you identify what you're looking for. Okay, and the secret to finding that right partner. So if you have time, go to Amazon.com. You could buy my book. on my profile page. If you click into it, there'll be a link to Amazon to purchase this book, or you can just go on Amazon.com and just put in "Fairy Tales Are for Frogs" and you'll find me, or put my name and you'll find all my books that I've written. Okay. Um, in summary, I just want to say, while it's important to have fun while dating, we still need to approach dating with wisdom and patience. Think of dating as not a race, but a comfortable walk to the finishing line. And may your walk lead you to the right partner. Okay? So, folks, this was a short video. Um, I I really found it very interesting myself. And I hope you found it interesting as well, and very informative. Um, if you liked this video, please click like and click share. If you have any comments or you want to add to your experience of a narcissist, of their love bombing, okay, or if you've unfortunately if you've come across a romance scammer, please share your comments below. Okay, put your comments in. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer it. Um, but definitely take the time to read up on, especially for those of you who are online and you're dating. It's and you're on if you're on multiple social media websites, it's especially crucial that you read up on romance scammers. They are pretty clever. And a lot of them are using AI now, believe it or not. They actually the romance scammers are actually using AI to respond back, to converse with you. If you're emailing or texting, or messaging, right? They're actually using AI to message you. So that's kind of corny too. I've read some of these kind of responses, and they don't sound like regular people, folks. I mean, I don't want to knock AI. I think AI is going to probably be the next wave of the future, um, as far as information goes. But you still need common sense when you're conversing, when you're interacting with people. You still need to think about what's being said to you, what's being communicated to you, right? And a lot of these AI responses, they sound like robots. Seriously, right? They sound like computer robots that really don't talk like normal people, right? For instance, I'll give you an example. I read something recently where a romance scammer wrote something like, "Good morning, my dearest. Good morning, my dearest. I hope the sun shines on your beautiful face today and graces you with love, and I will be thinking of you all day." Who talks like that, folks? Okay. I don't even think Shakespeare talked like that. Okay. I mean, so just have common sense. Okay. We're normal people, you know how normal people talk, all right? Especially if you are of a different culture. Okay, even us Americans, we know how normal people talk, what mainstream people sound like when they talk, right? If someone's saying unusual words like "my dearest," "my lovely," all right, all these kind of like grandioso words that I call it, okay, it's a red flag. It's not the real person talking. They're probably putting in your questions or your comments into some AI chat thing, and then they're just getting AI responses to respond back to you, which is not, so you're not even conversing with a real person. Okay, so just be careful when you're out there. Dating is supposed to be a lot of fun, and the main thing is, I would just say to all of you, I would encourage all of you and invite all of you to be patient. Okay, have fun, but please be patient. Take the time to go look at my other two videos, as I mentioned. Learn how to date successfully. Okay, that's going to be your best defense and best offense, really. Is to have an idea of what the four dating stages are in a relationship. The first stage being the romance stage, which is the most important stage because that's the stage where you get love bombed. That you could possibly get love bombed. Okay, actually, that's the only stage that you really will get love bombing, and that's also the stage that people fall in love. That's the stage that you have butterflies in your stomach, that uh, that's the stage that you have this wonderful feeling of being in love. Okay. And there is going to be sweet talking. Obviously, if someone likes you, they're going to say nice things and positive things about you. They are going to sweet talk you to some extent. I'm not saying we need to be suspicious of every single person that throws us a compliment. However, we still need to take it with a grain of salt. You can politely thank somebody. "Oh, I think you're beautiful. Thank you. I think you're the most beautiful woman in the world. Thank you. And I think you're handsome too," right? You could repay the compliment, but just be careful and just keep your ears open, your eyes open, your ears open. if they continually love bomb, and I encourage you to go online and read about love bombing, okay? If they continually, instead of having normal conversation to get to know each other, they just keep throwing you compliments and telling you they want to get married to you, that you're the woman of their dreams, okay? It's a red flag, folks. Okay? And like I said, take the time to heal. Please, take the time to heal. If you need healing or you're grieving, take some time out. Spend time with your loved ones. Do happy things for yourself. Okay? Get happy before you get back into another relationship. All right? And date safely. Okay? So I thank you for watching, and I I hope you found this video helpful. Okay, so until then, I'll see you again soon. Okay, bye.